Right, okay, so I think it's finally time to get the transmission mounted onto the engine now that we've done the clutch and everything. So on the bench here we've got the gearbox I'm going to be using. It's a BE4 with 5-speed reverse manual. We've gone away from the 6-speed manual that we was using before out of a GTI 6, mainly just through concerns of destroying the gear sets in them. So while the box is on the bench and it's really easy to work on, we're going to be fitting the Quaife LSD that I bought a while ago. So that will be going in obviously the diff housing on the back of the transmission. Really easy to do now. It's a bit of a pig in the car, so we'll drop the subframe down a bit or move the engine forward. So we've got the LSD there to go in, obviously a new cross bearing to go on the clutch arm, so that's all new. I don't really want to be touching any of this once it's in the car because it's a real pain in the neck to get all this apart once all the manifold and turbos are in. Obviously it's easy to say that now and it'll probably be all apart again in the first week. So it's a pretty straightforward process really to do one of these. If you just pull the back cover of the diff casing off, that's just 8 bolts. You've got to take the speedo drive housing off first, and then you can just take the back casing off. You rip out your standard open diff, which is that one there. You'll need to unbolt the crown wheel off your standard one because you need to use that on the new one. So you then bolt your crown wheel up to your new diff. If it's a used diff, it's advisable, well it's not advisable, it's pretty important because likely if you've got a used diff it will have bearings already on it. You want to get the races that were obviously being used on those bearings before, really, so it matches up perfectly. Obviously if it's a new one you'll have new ones anyway, so if you're reusing the bearings make sure you use the races that came with those bearings. Reinsert all the races, put the diff in, bolt everything back together again with a small piece of a thin layer of flange sealant just to make sure you don't get any oil leaks, but it is machined so shouldn't be any problem there. Right, we'll drop the crown wheel down on top of the new diff now. So right, going to torque these down now. I think 65 Newton meters we've got it set at here. And that's the gearbox all back together again. Back housing's all bolted up, and we've got the new release bearing in there, and just put a bit of grease on the pivot points of the release fork there. So that is now ready to bolt up to the side of the engine. So we'll do that next. As you can see, the gearbox is bolted up now. I forgot to video putting the diff back in, but it's pretty boring. So I just dropped that in, did all the bolts up, sealed it up, slotted the engine on. Slotted the gearbox back on the side of the engine. So that's all bolted on now. I just need to swap over the gear linkages. I should have done it a minute ago actually while the gearbox was off. I completely forgot because obviously this is off a 206, so it's got a different linkage arm on it which could be modified, but it's going to be sort of tidier just to fit the correct arm off a 306 transmission and everything will line up as it should do. So I'm going to go and pinch them off another box now and swap them around with this one, but all the bell housing bolts are in, so it's pretty much ready to go. Right, there you go. So I've just swapped over basically that top lever there and also the little stabiliser bracket. So that's what attaches to the gear linkages in the car, but because that's from a different vehicle they're slightly different orientated. You can just bend them and stuff, but since I have plenty of the right items I've swapped them over, which means everything should just drop in, although I think all of this is actually going to need modification anyway to accommodate some other new bits and pieces, but at least we're starting from the right thing.